Hello, everyone. I'm hoping that I am live and I'm doing something a little different. I guess you may say, hey, where is she for real? Well, I am behind the scenes, and you guys know this is Marilyn Green. I am the host of Girl Who Don't You Know. It's my talk show, it's my stuff, and trying to do what I need to do for the community, offering a platform for those to get the word out. So I am so excited about what we're going to be doing today. So I have let me give you the whole disclaimer. I'm very transparent, very authentic. The reason why you're only seeing my lovely face today is because I have no electricity, and I am sitting in my car in my garage with trying to make sure that I have enough juice in order to bring forth this show. I can't say nothing but the devil is a liar. What we're going to be talking about today is a very, very important subject that, as I've been saying, as I've been announcing, is that suicide prevention is everybody's business. So naturally, my lights go out. Something happened. I don't know. It's coming on back at 8:30, but by then we'll be finished with the show. So just want to let you guys know that's the reason why you're not seeing my face today. So just come on, and please share this with your friends, anybody that you think need to know, somebody who they may want to know but they don't know. But we're going to be unpacking some things today about suicide prevention and just suicide in general. And so when you do post it, please use the hashtag GWDYK. It stands for Girl Who Don't You Know. So please share this page and post this page on your or post this page on your social media. You can find us on Facebook, Girl Who Don't You Know. You can also find us on YouTube, and that would be Maryland _ pink and green. Please go there and subscribe. Subscribe. I'm trying to grow, and I need you guys to go with me. So please go there and prescribe. I said prescribe, subscribe. Okay, but what I be talking about is like a prescription, because I'm trying to transform your mind one show at a time. All right. Okay, let's see here. So if you want to post your comments, you guys know what to do. Post them. We have a dynamic guest going to be coming up, and so I am really excited about that. So let's see here. Okay, yeah, all right. Please understand I'm in my car, okay? So ignore me if I start reading or anything, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is that advertising with us. You can advertise with me. I have a package that will help you to advertise. Just contact me at 636-442-2630. Leave a message or go to girlwdyk@gmail.com. All right. So while you guys are coming in and telling your friends, just make sure that you tell me what's your favorite season, and then also tell me why. I'm wanting to know. I can tell you now mine is autumn, fall, because it's my birthday months, but it's just that I like it. Okay, I see you, Fresh Prince, True Prince, Fresh Prince. My brothers and sisters in Christ, he's saying hello, True Prince, all the way from H-Town, Houston. Welcome. All right, then. So we're going to move forward, and we know about the question of the day. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm also wanted to show you how you can advertise with us, because I have some advertisements from Cafe Biz 618. You may say, well, that's in 618, but guess what? You may be traveling to this area and you need a place to have an event. You need a place to have an office. You might need, they are so great. You can also get your address and your mail sent directly to them, and they will keep that for you as well. So if we have that video ready, I think we're ready to show it at this time. So hang out for just a minute.
Welcome to Cafe Biz 618, shared workspace in Fairview Heights. And no, you don't have to work at the coffee shop. It's designed for small businesses that need professional office space by the hour, by the day, or by the week. The offices come fully furnished and are a fraction of the cost of renting a building. Just pick the space you need and let Cafe Biz 618 do the rest. To find out more, visit cafebiz618.com. For meetings, training, networking, and more, it's Cafe Biz 618.
All righty. Thank you so much for that. So guess what? That could be you. It's simple, it's easy. Please, 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 you can just call me. I want to put your stuff out there and stuff. That's the whole reason of my platform, is that things that you're doing is transforming minds one show at a time. I mean, I've heard reviews from people that they saw one of my shows and they used some of the data that was on there to help that person's daughter in school. So people are using the things that come on my show. So I just wish that you guys will just reach out to me and let's advertise for you. All right. So all right, Mary Stapleton, Carr, Mississippi. She says, good evening from Mississippi. Fall is my favorite time. Me too. Love to see the trees as they change colors. You're right. Okay. Cat Rupert, I said, I love the fall. Okay, fall is winning. Okay. Beautiful colors of foliage, cool breezes, seasonal attire. However, I have an appreciation for them all. You're right about that. And of course, winter without the ice again because of seasonal attire and to only watch the snow. Wow, you're right about that one. Okay, let me see what Fresh Prince is saying. True Prince. I keep calling you Fresh Prince today. Love them all. God has a reason for everything. You're right about that, True Prince. You're right about that. But, we always going to have a little favorite. So remember, advertise with me and I would appreciate that. And thank you guys for your comments. So let's move on. And we're going to bring up the lady of the hour. Okay. Well, this is a very, very sensitive subject for many people for many different reasons. Uh, whether you were directly impacted or indirectly impacted. I've been saying for several weeks now, this is everybody's business. And I truly, truly do mean that. Okay. I want you to take some notes, about what you can do. And one of the things that's important is that it's about what you can do, what the community can do, what we can do to prevent suicide. This is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And I want to do my part, and I want you guys as a call to action right now to do your part. So I'm going to bring up a mom and I call it a mother story. Okay. And her name is Rafiah Maxie. And you may hear me call her Fia Maxie, Miss Maxie. I think it's a cool name, okay? She is the founder of Soul Survivors of Chicago, a non-for-profit. And I'm going to bring her up. She still has her avatar there. And the reason why I wanted that avatar to stay there because that's her lovely son, who is no longer with us. And because of him, she has dedicated herself to the whole issue of raising awareness about suicide prevention and to get the community involved and things of that nature. So his name is Jamal, and I love the way she pronounces his name, Jamal, So I'm so happy that she is here today. So, Miss Maxie, can you just reveal yourself now? There she is. Cutie pie, cutie pie. She is the founder again of Soul Survivors of Chicago, a non-for-profit. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello there. How are you?
I am wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So good to see your face. And I have to give you a little bit of something I didn't forgot to tell you, but your son, okay, who we're going to be talking about today, I did know what happened to him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm a top ladies of distinction.
Oh, I did
And
not know that.
I forgot to tell you, however, I am. And they did broadcast it and tell us about your son. I did
Yes.
not put it together until I did some research. I said, wait.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Once I saw your documentary and I saw that lady on there talking I said, wait a minute, I know this, but I didn't share that with you. Hey, it skipped my mind, but this is the best time to know that I knew, but I didn't know. And it's amazing how God will bring us full circle of how we actually met. And now we're even
Mhm.
closer because your son was the top team, right?
Absolutely. He was not only a top teen, he was the president of the chapter, and he was known in the Midwest region of being someone who just got things done. He was elected to a Midwest regional position, and top teens was his life. He loved to be part of that service and organization since his seventh grade. So he was one of the oldest people. Of the teens and was mentored, and it changed his life. So I'm so in gratitude to Top Ladies of Distinction.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So tell us a little bit about you. What's your background? I know you're in Chi-Town. We know that. Tell us a little bit about your background.
I would love to. Well, my name is Rafiah Maxie. Most people call me either Maxie, my last name, or Rafiah, or they may call my nickname Fia. But I'm many things. You know, when people ask you who you are, you can say lots of things of what you do and what you are. I mix them up like a gumbo. I'm a social worker. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs here in the city of Chicago with a program that's called HUD-VASH. And so we assist formerly and literally homeless adults who are veterans with sustainable housing through a voucher and provide the case management and services for them, amongst a lot of things. And then I'm a mother. And sometimes I always wonder, am I a mother first or a social worker? Either or have impacted this whole situation. But I'm a mother of two children. I had Jamal, who was my first child, and then I have a daughter by the name of Jada, and she is my daughter. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
so I'm also the founder of Soul Survivors of Chicago, which is a nonprofit organization, and I'm glad to be talking today about it and also sharing my story and what I really am become passionate about without wanting to ever want to be part of this community is suicide prevention and awareness.
Okay. I, let me just do a full disclosure again and stuff. I'm glad I'm behind the scenes because when I hear your story, I've seen the documentary. It brings tears to me, tears to my eyes because, as you said, you're a social worker, but you're a mother. We're a mother first, okay?
Mhm.
And no matter what profession we're in, we're a mother. And
Absolutely.
when I saw the documentary, guys, and you guys, and I'll give you her website later. You need to go there and see the documentary because it is a beautiful tribute to him, and it's also it's just too much. Okay, it can be overwhelming. It's overwhelming to me. I can be honest about it. It's very overwhelming to me, Miss Maxie, for what you've had. When I talk to you, I'm like, some people say I know what you're going through. No, I don't know what you're going through. And you said in the documentary, this is a club that no mother wants to be a part of.
Mhm.
That just took me away too because no one wants to be a member of this club. However, you are a member at this time and you've done the right thing by keeping your son's memory going. So let's talk about the story a little bit, the timeline, if that's okay, to share with people. And the reason why I wanted you to really tell me who you were was because you are a social worker, licensed clinical social worker. And I think you told me that's some of the part that you missed it. You missed all of it. So, yeah. So tell us about the timeline and what was going on.
I would love to. I just put in the chat the actual documentary, which is on our YouTube page at Soul Survivors, spelled SOUL, Survivors of Chicago. And the name of the documentary is We Cry Your Tears, the Jamal Clay story. Um, on May 27th, 2020, 2 days after the death of George Floyd, 4 months after the release of a pandemic, And not even a year since my son graduated from high school, I lost my son to suicide. His name was Jamal. He was 19 years old, and it was the worst day of my life. And I always say that because those are the three things that come to mind and always remind me of that day. In fact, I live with that day and I live with today. Jamal's story is not unlike any other person's story. In essence, what he experienced, I think many children do. And as they grow up and as we as parents do our very best, sometimes these outcomes come to different things. In particular, Jamal was my rock. I don't remember not one time in my life where I ever had to punish him. Uh, I was never called in for any kind of disciplinary things. He was a kid that woke me up early in the morning so I could take him to school to take the chairs off the tables for the teachers so that the school would be prepared for class that day. He was just that type of student that wanted to be the A plus. And if he wasn't my son, I would have loved him just the same. But as sixth and seventh grade came around, particularly at 12 years old, Jamal was the subject of bullying. And bullying is a very, very misunderstood situation. And in that middle school years, many of us as parents don't catch to it or maybe catch it too late. I was the one that catched it too late, mainly because my son did not want to express feelings of being taunted every day by a certain person at school, being pushed, being talked about, and really not wanting to fight back because he wasn't that kind of person. And because of that, he embodied a lot of those feelings, I believe. And one day on a school trip that was overnight and out of town, he came back and told me he hated himself. And that was his first attempt of trying to harm himself by hanging himself in my house. We went to the school, we started an anti-bully campaign. We got him into therapy as much as we could with the system breaking down here in Illinois with mental health providers going out of business or clinics closing. I did the very, very best I could. And after so many turns and pamphlets and call you backs and no messages, it became upon myself to be the person who was going to guide my son into the mental wellness and also to his self esteem. And we always thought that chapter was over because
Mhm.
we survived it.
Right.
7 years later, my son attempted the same time, the same method. And unfortunately, I lost my son.
Wow. Mm. So you talk about then and you talk about today. When you said that, even though it's in the documentary, it is just unimaginable to me how your son was found. Okay, when he did. Can you tell us a little bit about
Mhm.
uh tell us about that? Because it's you have yourself, you have your two children. One is gone, but one is here. And tell us about that story and how I really, once you tell that part, tell me how are you really helping her now, go through this with you all, hurting. So tell us about
Mhm.
that, please.
So the day of my son's death, I was en route to work. I have at that time I was at a my fiance's home, and his home is close to my job, so of course I stayed there that night. And I never really do, but that one night I did because it was a performance review day. I was getting ready for work. I wanted to be on time and thinking all about my job and my, things I needed to do for that. And I get a call from my daughter, who initially had went through the house that day with a feeling that morning something was wrong. And after several, kind of peeks and looks in the house, she discovered my son in the garage who had hung himself with a karate belt. And it actually was the same belt. It was really ironic. The same belt that he tried to use at 6th grade. So essentially, my daughter, at the age of 16 years old, called the 911. She was instructed on how to cut him down. She was traumatized from then, and then moving forward, we all have, because there was a time, and still is, where I could not blink without thinking and seeing my son visually hanging from something like a tree or a noose, like in the slave time. So, to help her in your second question, what we've done as a family is to continue our communication as much as we can when we can, because this is a very heavy brick that we hold.
Hmm.
And to expose it and talk about it, it takes time. But getting the supports, of course, I know for sure I'll be in therapy for the rest of my life, and my daughter as well. And so that is some of the things that we endured as a family. That's brought about a lot of trauma.
Hmm. You know, and speaking of trauma, when please everybody, please share the feed. As a matter of fact, please just share this show as it's going on, and those who doing hashtag repeat, just share it with everybody, because it's one thing that I'm feeling, and I don't know if you guys can feel it. I can feel you, Miss Maxie. I can feel you. Okay. You know, Katina Rupert says no one wants to be a part of that club, and she does have a book that's coming out. I mean, that's out, and we're going to be doing a discussion, on the September the 26th, So she reads about, she has a story in her book about suicide victims, a story about bullying, and a note to parents and survivors in the book. It's The Woman in the Mirror. I am who I choose to become. It's her book. And then she says, more than a shameless plug. It's not a shameless plug. You
Mhm.
okay? But a serious matter that can be helpful for all. And then I see Darren Suggs. How you doing, Darren? Saying hello. And he says he needs a copy. Okay. So you know what to do, Darren, to get your copy. But anyway, I can feel you that it is so emotional for you. Every time I see you, even though when I looked at the documentary and I saw it, it always brings me a feeling of I'm about to just break and cry. Okay. And remember, I told you guys earlier, maybe this is God that my face is not being shown today, because I might be on the tissue campaign about right now, because as I said, I cannot imagine, okay, what you've had to endure. And it wasn't only you, as I said, directly and indirectly. I would think it was his uncle. His uncle is on that documentary. And his uncle, man,
My brother,
oh,
yes,
that was your brother?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
He was so tore down. Now, I think one of the reasons why, and I want you to share this, is that, or, give some insight on this and stuff, is that he was a model child. He was, if we would call them model citizens. Okay. So, what can you tell someone, about a relationship with a child, and how you try to have that rapport with them, but sometimes you just miss it? What are you saying now going forward with all this?
Well, one of the things that his mentor said, and that was Lady Janetta Miller
Mm-hmm.
from our Top Teens chapter here in the South Suburban region, that just made much sense to me, is that relationships are everything. If a person does not believe what you say, it does not matter what comes out of your mouth. My son was one of the children that you wouldn't naturally have a telescope or a kaleidoscope of looking at when it came to someone being depressed, or someone who was struggling with, how do I tell people that I don't like people bullying me? Or he just didn't have that flashlight that many of us look for when it comes to people and persons that are in distress. He kept it very much bottled in. So it's not just to look at those that are giving us the signs and symptoms. It's really looking at all of us in totality, and knowing that you just can't look at that, even though they present well, and they come off as very, on top of things. There's so much that is inside that we ignore and say, okay, he's good to go. We're not going to worry about that one, but this one, let's talk to. It wasn't like that. So because he didn't get that emotional connection in a lot of ways to these things, I think that had a big impact on how we saw. And you're right. I hear all the time, I couldn't imagine. Those words come to me often. And I tell people when they say that to me, I ask you, please do not try to. Because if you would imagine, if you could imagine what this life is like, it would be nothing like your imagination. It absolutely would crush everything that you thought it would be to lose a child. Because to sit on the front row of a funeral and look at your child and to see that they have lost their life that was orchestrated behind pain, because that's the only thing I can blame is his pain, not cancer, not a gunshot, not a car accident. The pain is a heart-wrenching thing, especially when you work hard, especially when you do the things that the American dream tells you to do. It feels
Mhm.
like you've been slighted. So I've taken my pain and make it into purpose with this organization so that many people don't have to experience this and will never have to say, I can't imagine. Because if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't be able to imagine either. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. We got a question from Mr. Darren Suggs, and I think you're kind of touching on it now, but what do you tell parents or individuals who are struggling with self identity and asking and facing the world for help? You know,
Mhm.
pretty much what you were talking about now. What do you tell those parents? Um, and I'm thinking as we unpack your information concerning your non for profit. And I know you guys do community work and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. I'm so excited about. In fact, let's just move on to that, unless you want to discuss or give some more insights about that question.
Well, it's truly a really important question. And I would
Hmm.
say my thoughts when I think about that when struggling with identity is to put yourself in that person's shoe. If you were go to another country and everybody in that country spoke Italian and you finally found somebody that spoke English, you would feel so elated because now you can communicate. That's exactly the feeling that someone has when they struggle with an identity, when they struggle with depression. It's almost like I'm in this world, I'm on this island alone. And if someone could just connect with me to just say, or to be there and to be a magnified thing, then I feel a little better. You
Hmm.
feel better. So I think about, just kind of relating to that kind of example to when it comes to when you struggle and you don't connect, is that there is a need for someone to connect because um, at the end of the day, we're all looking for somebody to communicate with that understand us in a lot of ways. So I
Yeah.
would, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, you talked about your non for profit, and let's get into that. Okay. It is Soul Survivors of Chicago,
Mhm.
NFP, non for profit. Let me give Darren's comment. I am glad you're educating us on your personal experience. This will give me more insight on how as the community should embrace these young people. Thank you for that word community, because I'm talking about her non-for-profit, but in her non-for-profit, okay, I think I might have it here. Just a moment. As you guys know, for those who join me late, I am sitting in my car because I have no electricity. And so I'm shuffling around cards that's on my passenger seat. Okay. So here we go. I know that you have that non for profit and you have programs. Okay.
Mhm.
Now the reason why I'm so excited about the programs, because what I can see, and this may be something in your strategic plan, that what you're doing there could be replicable throughout the nation, international, whatever. Is that in your strategic plan? I
It
hope so.
sure is. It sure
Okay.
is. It
Okay.
starts here in Chicago because statistically wise, what we've seen here, especially in Cook County, which is the largest county in Illinois, and it encompasses Chicago in some of the outlying suburbs is that the rise of suicides between 2000 and, well, actually 2015 to 2020, the most significant rise was amongst persons of color between the ages of as young as 5 all the way up to 24.
Mm-hmm.
So if you imagine all ethnicities having a decline, but only all Black and persons of Black descent going up in a pandemic time, it was something as a ring the alarm. So I want to see this chapter go on and definitely go to other states because I'm reading and learning more about it. But at Soul Survivors of Chicago, I look at 3 pillars. The first thing and how I got to this Soul Survivors is that on a week after my son's death, I go in his room every day and I do my meditation. But this particular day I went in and I was just at an awe of what am I going to do? I'm looking at all my son's things. What's life? And I looked down and I saw his shoe. And I said, man, wouldn't it be great if I could gift his shoe to someone with his name in it and understanding that that person's going to walk in my son's shoe that he no longer can walk in. So walk in purpose. So when you get your first job, or you get your first date, or then you have a up day or a down day, you're doing it with 2 people in spirit, in the understanding. So walk in purpose. Know that I know that you have that shoe on today, and my son will experience something that he will never have, and I will never see. And so that was the premise of the organization, to start that gifting. And we partnered with a organization called a Safer Foundation here in Chicago that work with incarcerated men coming into a halfway program and gift the shoes to them. And then I thought about the education and awareness. Oh my goodness. If you would only know the statistics and what we're learning about persons who don't know how to talk about suicide to someone, or talk about someone who they think is at a point where they're thinking of that, it would be amazing to you. So to bring the education, to bring the awareness to the schools, to the communities, I'm talking the local library, to the local liquor store, to the local barber shop, to the local nail store. We are there. We are passing out. We are letting people know how you can talk, where the resources are, and providing groups, because there was nothing when I got to the point where I needed support after Jamal passed, and that was about 4 days. I'm on Google typing help, suicide, whatever I could get to, because I could not find, and I knew I needed to get some help because I was on an island I never wanted to be on. So providing the education. Then lastly, to provide the financial supports, because I have met through the grapevine so many people that are impacted or know somebody who's been impacted by suicide. But to be able to be mentally well is encompassed of things like, can I keep my phone on tomorrow? Or if my lights go off, what do I do? Or how can I get help? Or my daughter's going on prom and we could really use some support. So we raise our monies and do these fundraisers so that those families that's been impacted, not just by suicide, but by loss and grief and gun violence, can have that support and, apply for any kind of supports that we have on a financial basis. So those 3 pillars are our points, and we work for.
I like that so much, y'all.
Yeah.
One of the things that Darren Suggs says, since schools are now in session and some students and children are lacking socialization, and how they should reach out to school officials, teachers, counselors, and staff. Okay, so Darren, that's the question I think at the end. So he's asking, how should they reach out? Uh,
How should the children reach out, or the
how
staff?
they, yeah, which one, Darren?
How do we reach out to school officials? Um, that's I think that's the question we're still trying to understand to make this conversation comfortable. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if someone was to ask another person, do you want to harm yourself? A lot of times I think it's because they don't want to hear the answer if it's yes. What would you do if someone told you yes? Can you really say what the next step is and how you would intervene or what you would do? Would you panic? Would you be of support? Would you know the call? Would you know where to follow them to resource for? So us getting away from the stigma and being understanding that everybody's been to a point where they're like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I don't like it. It ain't fair, in our lives because we've been hit by things. Your situation today, Marilyn, with the lights. Many
Yes.
people have that every time. And then it'd be like, I had nothing to do with this. Why to me today? And so they go through a tunnel and their trajectory of the tunnel is very dark. But at the end of the day, we all have experienced that. So being able to talk about it and not being afraid to say, I've been there too. Here's what helped me, or I'm going to be there with you while you're in this tunnel.
Yeah. And as you talk about getting, if someone tells you yes, one of the things that I know is that they have training called QPR. Are you
Mhm,
familiar with that?
mhm,
And that's a great training for anybody because, like I said, suicide is everybody's business. Okay,
mhm,
suicide prevention, I'm sorry. But however, QPR is a training called question, persuade, and refer. When we talk about the trust factor for wanting to, they may not want to trust you as a parent or trust you as a teacher. They may see somebody in a grocery store and that person knows to question that person because they're looking a little, I'll just say suspect, okay? And so then that's when you refer, persuade them. They may not want to talk to everybody. So that right there is a training that I push a lot. It's QPR training, and they do have places I know all over, but down here in the Metro East area and stuff, they have I think it's Chestnut, or they have some of these non for profit organizations that will give the training absolutely free. Okay,
yes.
so yeah, you want to get into QPR, you want to get, I can name them all: youth mental health, first mental health aid, adult mental health aid. So there's a lot of training out there that that, I say it again, suicide prevention is everybody's business. Okay, that's my little 2 cents, and I'll get right back to these comments. And says Darren Say says, what do you think the children break parts are? What's your thoughts on that, Miss Maxie?
Mhm. Well, what I experienced in this pandemic is that the disconnection to so many things that they're very much attached to or even addicted to became very challenging. We talk a lot about social media and children being on it a lot, but I look at the perspective of they're on it because they're addicted to each other. And to be honest with you, to be able to have a connection with your friend outside of school was something I didn't grow up in the 80s, never had that. And so that's a different kind of thought, to have that kind of breakdown. Um, Breaking points are also to have to absorb some of the family dynamics that go on in a household. Your children are sponges. They are sponges to everything. Their emotional intelligence is so keen when a family is breaking up or breaking down or going good or going bad or having to go through all those changes. So to deal with that at a time when they're still developing themselves is also a breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So
thinking.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so those are things that I think that are breaking points that I experienced. Definitely COVID, definitely the pandemic. Our Black Lives Matter. We had so many marches, and of course, in other rural areas, there were lots of social economic issues going on that made life where you couldn't even drive down the highway because there was a protest. And things were shutting down, and to get a hamburger was like a science project, so it was just a matter of us really knowing this new normal that we never even heard of and were scared to death about it. That all that was a breaking point, not only for children but for the United States and our world.
That's true. Darren asked another question. What are the more questions to ask the students to get them to open up and trust? He put that in capitals. Someone to have a conversation. What are some of the morning questions that you would throw out there to try to assist?
Yeah. So I think about children, and I think about my experiences growing up in the 80s and the crack epidemic and what I experienced. I think it's kind of mirrored from children now. If you think about a week, what it looks like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is Monday, you're going to get everything that happened over the weekend come to you from a child, whether it was good or bad, up or down, they're going to present that way on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday is where you really get more engagement because Monday is gone and you're going to be able to see a lot of those effects in their behaviors after that. Thursday is when the checkout starts to happen and they're really mentally getting ready for what's the next cycle. Friday, they're out mentally, emotionally, sometimes, and checked into what the next realm of these 2 days will be without your structure, without your help. So to understand that rhythm of what they do and what they are coming with when they come into school is a way for you to prepare, in my opinion, on what you are going to be working with.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Um, okay, so let's see here. Where you go, Cat Rupert. When children are imploding, looking at them wrong can be a breaking point. The straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, yeah, you're right about that, Cat. It's like, hey, you don't never know, but that's the reason why we got to keep that relationship, or a good relationship with that child. Okay, so moving further, as far as what you do with founder of Soul Survivors of Chicago, you do community-based education and awareness. So you do it with schools, education providers, community nonprofit organizations. You do all that. Now, based on that, you have a webinar that you're doing. Is that webinar? I mean, I'm so crazy. I don't know why I am saying, is this in person? It's a webinar. Okay.
Well, actually, yes. That in the chat, what I put in is it's actually the CDC is hosting a webinar, and it's
Oh, really?
community-led suicide prevention, preventing a new tool, and that's on September 29th from 2 to 3 Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
I have the link above that actual chat where you can register if you're interested. And then, of course, if you go on many of the platforms where it's the American Federation of Suicide Prevention down to American Association of Suicidality, all of us are really putting in pushes to understand some of the things that we're supporting, the education and stuff you can put on your social media, and the new change, which is the 988 Lifeline number.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time, and till this time, that the only person in a crisis you could call is 911.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on who answers that crisis, you're going to get a police officer at your house who pretty much can offer some advice, but doesn't do domestics very well. So that leaves you with a crisis still in hand. It's almost like having a headache that somebody came and looked at and told you, I hope you be okay, and then shut the door. With
Mm.
988, this is the national number, no matter where you stay, no matter what part of the city and country you're in, that you, if you're having a suicidal ideation or even have an emotional crisis, you can call this number and you'll be connected to a mental health provider that will walk you through supports in your region, in your county, in your state, in your city, and help support you as you go through this concern. It's a big tool to have because 911, although it is something that we use in emergency, these are different types of emergencies. And sometimes the after effect of that could be what we've seen here in Chicago with Laquan McDowell and other persons who called because they were having mental health crisis and unfortunately were gunned down by the police because of their mental health crisis showing up in a different way.
Hmm. So speaking of that training for law enforcement, I saw someone, Nicole wrote in there about, she has a law enforcement background, and she said there's a need for training. Do you all have that as a big priority, the training, the law enforcement piece? Is that something that you guys are doing or what?
So, in regards to soul survivors, we don't necessarily work in that straight kind of narrow piece. What we do is partner with our CAPS, which is the community and organizational police kind of entity, where each community or what you call wards here in Chicago have a CAP community, and every month they can meet and talk about some of the safety issues that go on. But I do believe that with the 988 initiative, that now the police are now getting a break and are at least able to say, this is a situation that goes to 988, or we direct it to that, because our crises are about more of a violation of a law and those kind of things, not someone who's having a schizophrenic episode, or definitely someone who is at a point where they want to harm themselves.
Okay. So,
Very interesting.
this has been so enlightening, and I tell you, I'm so excited about this show. I am. I'm excited about all my shows, but this one right here. So, I want to know this. Okay, let's see what Cat Rupert is saying. It said, can you put that up for us, please? Very important. It should be shared with all. Knowing suicide hotlines for administrators, staff, students, and family members should be normalized. Okay, to have in their phones. And you're right about that. I like that. I like the normalization part of it, that everybody needs to know, what is that. In fact, we're on this phone. In fact, as we're on the phone, I mean, I said on the phone. Oh my God, I heard that bell and I started thinking about a phone. Okay,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. It's like that Taco Bell commercial. My mind just instantly went to something else. Okay, but nevertheless, they need to have this number. And while we're on this show today, if there's anybody out there that sees it, hashtag replay, or out there now, and you're having suicidal ideations, please, 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 988lifeline.org. Please do that, or find someone, talk to someone right away, So, but anyway, this has been a great discussion, and I want you to share with people where they can go to find you. I think the website is www.soulsurvivorofchicago.com. Okay, please go there, and I think that documentary is there. If not, it is on YouTube. You guys need to watch it, because it is very, very good, you know. And when she came to that part about nobody wants to be in that club, and that was towards the end. I mean, I tell you, I haven't told you this, but that impression is just in me. I mean, just what you said. You said something at the end about he was trying to get sunlight or something. What was those words or something
Yeah.
of that nature? I forgot what it was, but I tell you what, just as they say, just see the documentary and just see it all the way to the end, and you'll hear those profound words that she speaks about. But let me tell you this: I certainly do applaud you for not just saying woe is me," but you felt for the community. Is that if it was you, there are so many others,
Mhm.
and so for you to start this non for profit and move it further and stuff, I applaud you. I don't have my little virtual hand things, but you can't see me, but I'm clapping for you, okay? So I wish everybody, if you can, just put some hand claps up there, because what you're doing is something that is so great. And we certainly do applaud you for your efforts, and we appreciate you greatly, greatly for coming on coming on
Mhm.
today and sharing your story. And of course, if you guys want her to talk some other time or whatever, I'm sure if you reach out to her, you'll be okay. Nicole and gave you a whole bunch of little hand claps, and Katina has given hand claps, Mary stapled them for MISSISSIPPI. I love to say that. Okay. I mean, hand claps, and certainly our hearts go out to you as well, as far as keeping it going. And we pray that your family will be well as we move further. Okay. So let's see here. I got a script today. Woo woo. Okay, here's my real talk. I think I have that. My real talk as we wrap up today. If you guys have no more questions or any concern, is that Nakia Bailey, thank you for that hand clap. My real talk is that suicide prevention, I've said this the whole time, is everybody's business. So it is incumbent upon you to find out in your neck of the woods or your neighborhood what you can be doing to help with suicide prevention. Okay. So with if nothing else, okay, you know who I am. I am Marilyn Green. I am the host of Girl, Who Don't You Know? Well, I tell you what, I didn't know her Okay, but I do. So email her at ssofchicago@gmail.com. Okay. So thank you so much. And Facebook is Soul Survivors of Chicago. She everywhere, y'all. So don't even try to act like you can't find her. Okay. She is giving you a no excuse kit. She is giving you resources. She is giving you the 988 Lifeline. This lady here is serious about what she's doing. So it's I need for you guys to be serious as well. Thank you, Mary Reed, for clapping. So thank you so much. And here I am again. I'm Girl Who Don't You Know. It's my talk show. And I appreciate you greatly. And remember that we are transforming minds one show at a time. And so next week on my show, I'm going to have sisters doing it. I'm going to have Erica Brown Gales and Marquita Brown. And then the following week after next, I'm going to have Katina Rubert book club discussion. You don't want to miss this one, okay? The Woman in the Mirror, I Am Who I Choose to Become. It's on Amazon.com. Get the book, buy the book, and so that you can read along with us as we unpack this. I've never seen a live book club, but I'm going to do it right here on Girl Who Don't You Know, okay? So, Katina Rose, blessing, continue prayers for you and your family, Miss Rafiah. So, thanks so much to everybody. Until next time, remember that I am trying to transform your mind, and I'm doing it one show at a time. So, until next time, you guys have a wonderful, super rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.